The map is Crossfire Canal, and we're following along with Ajax and Orangeheart, who I have gotten the impression may actually be Zlo, but I am not 100% sure. I've heard Mephi from some people and Zlo from others. I suppose that I should probably use the username lookup just to see who that is, but I have not done so. The answer is probably going to be in the comments because people are extremely forthcoming with information that I do not know. We've got Orangeheart on the south side. This is another Seraphim symmetrical matchup. Land Factory first, second air, and looks like queuing for a third air as well. Then on the north side, we've got Ajax going first land, second air, with no further queuing but a whole lot of convoluted move orders in order to grab all of those mass extractors. I am extremely irritated when maps spawn my ACU out of reach of any mass. It's very annoying, and I sometimes do not know what to do, but I suppose I should watch more games of this level so that I can get some good build orders. Engineers moving out to pick up some manual reclaim. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the map. There is a substantial amount of reclaim out here, some in large rocks, such as the 75 and 150 over here, 75, 150 on the outside edges of the canals. And then there are 10 mass rocks scattered all over around the ridges. So not only do you want to expand to the exterior pizza slices as quickly as possible due to the mass extractors that are there, you could theoretically sustain yourself on just the reclaim for quite some time. Orangeheart has deleted one of his power generators, so I don't really know what is going on here, but these guys are obviously going to want to build a little bit of extra power in the early game due to the fact that you want to transport out as quickly as you possibly can. I've seen so many symmetrical faction matchups this tournament, I am beginning to wonder if some of the players have not come to the agreement that they're going to play with the same factions to eliminate the differences that some maps make a big deal of. For instance, on this map, if you have hover at the T1 phase, you are going to hold a significant advantage over factions that do not. The factions such as Cybern or UEF are going to have to build more frigates earlier in the game and spam a lot more land because your land is going to be self-contained to the island where it is located. You're not going to be able to easily move it over to help defend one of the other areas. There is a hydro available, but it is far to the outside of your base. Orangeheart has already picked it up in advance of the air factory finishing. Yeah, that's going to give him a pretty good handle on building some air. So he's running excellent balance, getting an interceptor out first, and I am sure that we will see some T1 transports shortly. That's probably going over for a factory lock on Ajax, who has gone for first transport. So that was an excellent call on Orangeheart's part. Might be able to get him a transport kill if his interceptor were actually flying towards the other side of the map. I would have loved to have seen that. We now have 2 air scouts and an interceptor is building. No, that is another air scout. So he is getting as much intel as possible on the map, scattering those out to see every possible avenue of access. And then eventually, yes, there it is, we will move over to the interceptors. So inties from Orangeheart moving in on the transport, 3 engineers that are probably going to get a drop. I don't think those inties are going to be able to kill it before it hits the ground, but that transport definitely will not live to carry another payload. On the south side, Orangeheart moving away with his slightly later transport to his left side expansion. That is going to come away clean. I do believe this air scout will pick it up. Inties will have to travel a long way to try to kill it. And then by that time, the transport will be back close to the base and probably guarded by another interceptor. The engineers are down. Check it out. Ajax scattering his engineers to and fro to avoid all of them dying to a single bomb. And it's a good thing that he did, because here comes that single bomber. So radar going down, we've got mass extractors planned, engineers moving to claim some of the outside mass extractors. All in all, a good set of build orders there. Bomber moving in, will be able to pick a target, but I don't think it's going to matter if it kills one engineer or another. There's the radar. Probably need to snag some T1 mobile anti-air to prevent that bomber from causing more mischief. Engineer kill over there. That's going to prevent mass extractors from building and slow things down a little. Let's take a look at the left. 2-3 land factories planned, mass extractors being built, radar already down, and the transport did make it back into the base. T1 bomber picking up a second engineer kill, circling for a third. I still don't see any T1 mobile anti-air, but there is an interceptor that's going to grab that bomber from under the nose of the two inties that were defending it. Unfortunately, those were slightly out of place, or Ajax saw where they were and was able to skirt them successfully. We've got a T1 transport for Orange Heart now, dropping one engineer on the Hydro using that drop Q that I believe I showed off a little bit earlier in the tournament. 2 on the Hydro because power is apparently a priority. And then we've got the other 2 on the plateau, which I'm sure will queue a land factory and then some other goodies. Over on the left side, Ajax is now expanding. He's slightly behind, ever so slightly behind Orange Heart, but these two players are running neck and neck for the most part. Ajax pulling ahead with 31 mass per tick thanks to a few more mass extractors being claimed on the right side expansion, although it does look like he is experiencing a small amount of power problems. I think that's because he's building with so much build power on these P-gens. That will level out eventually. He is going to experience a short power stall, might have to pause an air factory, but I don't think that's going to do any significant or permanent damage to his outlook. 560 power for both of these people. We've got 2,500 reclaim almost for Ajax and 1,400 reclaim for Orange Heart, which puts Ajax at a pretty significant advantage. We may see Navy, yes, naval factories being planned. Those are going down right across this edge. Frigates galore, I am sure, will be built from those, and that will help cut off the access of the Zooies around these expansions. Speaking of which, here's artillery moving in to Ajax's base. We've got a valiant reclaim effort by a T1 engineer that will be successful and save the T1 mass extractor, but these are going to move up into the core. Might threaten the land factory, but I think the steady stream of THAMs that can be produced from that single land factory will be enough to deny those artillery with a little bit of micro. If artillery goes up versus tanks, 99% of the time, the tanks will win as long as the person who is controlling the units is paying attention. Because the artillery cannot compensate for altering courses in units, and the tanks are direct fire. So you'll always end up with consistent, if lower damage here, barring terrain. This is what I was talking about with micro being an issue, and the artillery will slowly die. But in this case, bam, there went one of the tanks, and that artillery is free to go and kill other things. More artillery moving out from the nose of Orange Heart's home base. There is counter already coming in from Ajax, which is a little bit ahead, in fact. That is going to pound away at the land factory. I don't think that's going to be a successful tactic, though, because it did not succeed in locking it with no artillery around, and these already are going to kill off the incoming tan units. I think, yeah, we've got 2 already now. Ajax might be able to pull this off, and he does have a little clump of artillery that's moving over there. We'll have to wait and see how that turns out in just a memento. Ajax moving in with artillery onto Orange Heart's base. Again, we've got the tank versus artillery conundrum, but the tanks are not being microed, not changing courses, and therefore those artillery shells are going to connect. Taking a look up the north, it looks like Orange Heart, I was about to say Mephi, but I don't know that for sure, so I should not, with 10 interceptors total in his hands, is trying to go for at least a transport kill, if not a factory lock, on Ajax, and I think that's a bad idea to stay in the area because he is outnumbered. So those inties succeeding in killing off the transport, looping all the way around the top left to get away, and might succeed in killing 2 interceptors here. A couple of free kills to get picked up. Definitely a bonus after killing the transport as well. Alright, Naval Factory has been placed, but that is going to come under fire from the artillery. I think this frigate is out in time to possibly save the second naval factory, but this one is definitely going to go down, especially considering the artillery coming from the north. Total of 5 naval factories already built, with a 6th halfway. Ajax is really doubling down on this Navy game. He's already got a frigate out to contest the frigate in the water from Orange Heart. That is, of course, going to run around, kill the engineer, get rid of the build power, and then I think that's going to shut down Orange Heart's play for Navy. We do have drops, though. He has not given up. We've got Artie moving into the core. That should be able to kill off at least one of the land factories there, but tanks are retreating as that drop has been spotted, and those Artie will get killed off as quickly as possible. T1 Mass Extractor probably not the best target. Artie dodging the incoming shells from that Zooey, and now they've got to stay stationary to focus fire the land factory. That will go down, I do believe. Yes, 125 left, and boom! But one land factory is up. There's already a critical mass of units required to deny these pushes in that base. We've got a T2 land HQ. Hover tanks on the way. Yenzines should be able to deal with a lot of these threats relatively well, but the frigates are in the end going to be more mass effective. So if Orange Heart's not able to get back in the water with this play, then he may still have significant issues winning this game, because once you lose the Navy completely, you also are doomed to lose the air game. All it takes is a couple of cruisers and you can cut off the map access for air, and then you can't move without losing the majority of your forces. 2 naval factories down, 3rd getting placed. Let's take a look at the intel that these guys have. Looks like Ajax does have good scouting information, and he is moving more scouts in from the rear. 13-5 in reclaim with well-balanced power and mass usage. Then Orange Heart is on 11,000 reclaim, so a little bit behind there, but also behind on mass income, 55 to 77. Ajax is probably winning this by sheer attrition, but there still is room for shenanigans by Orange Heart. We've got a T2 gunship out that is going to take a pretty significant amount of damage as it crosses over the top of 4 frigates. I would definitely be, yes, retargeting that gunship. No! It's just standing there taking fire, gonna die without loosing a single shell onto the frigates that are causing all of these issues. Well, I guess other than what it flew directly over. We've also got artillery out on the front nose for Orange Heart that's going to cause pretty massive problems. Frigates in the build power now, eliminating the engineers that are trying to build that torpedo launcher. Excellent targeting priority there by Ajax, realizing that torpedo defense didn't need to be targeted. It probably wasn't going to get built, and you just got to kill the engineers before they can get it up. We've also got T2 hover tanks from Ajax now, who has also gone for an HQ on his right side expansion. It's interesting how these guys are kind of playing off of each other symmetrically as they try to control the map. The only thing that has gone horribly, horribly wrong is the loss of the Navy. As these frigates become more numerous, it's going to get more and more difficult to deny them using air, because the AA guns do stack up quite well. Even though they do a pretty insignificant amount of damage as individuals, when you put 20 of them together, you're getting up there into flak territory. We've got a T2 gunship harassing the outside expansion. Ajax is building his T2 power way out there. I don't really know what the reasoning is behind that, unless that's where he's got his T2 engineers and he does not wish to get the upgrade in his base. No T2 air yet either, but what this does give him is an opportunity to diversify his base. Well, not diversify, spread it out. Let's go with that. He can build power generators over here, he can build power generators over here, and maybe even some in his base. And if one area gets overrun or dropped, he is not going to lose his entire power grid. Now, he's not started building that yet, but I would hope that we see it relatively soon, because this is just asking for problems. There's no real defense here, and one little accident could cause an utterly catastrophic hit to Ajax's eco. Gunships collecting in greater numbers. Ajax sending in a couple of interceptors to harass those, not committing his entire air force. It looks like he's got 62 interceptors to his name versus 53 for Orangeheart. Throw the gunships into the mix as meat shields, and I think that Orangeheart has a pretty good chance of winning air. We do have further issues happening though. Ajax moving in with Yenzines. Before the wall sections can be completed, those are going to run into the base. We've already got Yenzines in the rear. No T2 units, no one T2 unit available to defend. That is not going to do very well versus the 10 to a dozen that Ajax has at his disposal. Those gunships are also not going to be able to save this due to the fact that there is a first mobile flak hitting the landmass. So that is going to provide pretty good protection. I don't think that with the 5 to 6 gunships that Orangeheart has, it's going to be worth targeting that flak down, because you're going to lose either a lot of health on all your gunships or about half of your gunships in total. Torpedo defense being flat out ignored, and we can actually see what the firing cycle is on the Seraphim torpedoes. Yes, I was right. They do just kind of fire out over the water and then fall in later. Those frigates are going to wipe that out with impunity, and that secures the naval win along with map control for Ajax. 91 to 69 is the eco at the moment. Ajax pulling 23,000 in reclaim versus 22 for Orangeheart. So actually not that different in that regard. The 6 gunships still moving around and trying to eliminate some of the units that are harassing these front edges. I think that there is still a small chance, but the chance is dwindling. This is exactly what I was talking about with losing naval control. We've already got 2 cruisers out of the factory, another one on the way. There's absolutely no reason to build destroyers if you can build more frigates and maintain your control of the waterways. Once those cruisers move out close to the base, that's going to deny air moving anywhere, and the TAC missiles will be able to start wiping out some of this eco. Looks like we've got heavy assistance on the T2 air factory, popping out scouts trying to figure out where the ACU is, I am sure, to see if a snipe is feasible. We've got 3 T2 power generators in the home base, leaving Orangeheart at 2.2k power. Are there more T2P gens somewhere else that I am not seeing? 4 T2P gens over here for Ajax. I was about to say, does he just have that much of a lead in the numbers of T1 power generators on the field? Because that would be a whole lot of T1 power. Tanks moving in. No PD or anything in this base, and a dearth of units with which to defend it. Interesting, well, no, never mind. I won't comment on that. Interceptors moving to the right slightly. I know that he sees these flak, but he's choosing to move away from the cruisers that could threaten his air control. 2 cruisers both moving to the left. Looks like Regen Aura starting for Purple Heart. Oh, Blackheart. These guys are in the observer slot, so something else is going on here. Regen Aura at 80%, 90%. That is a quick upgrade when you've got the T2 on your ACU. Quite a bit of power draw there, going for advanced Regen Aura. To my knowledge, the Seraphim Regen Aura is still broken, but I do not know for sure. Looks like Ajax has secured the air win extremely hard due to fighting over top of a cruiser. That'll do it for you. And then torpedo bombers are moving back to the south for Orangeheart. So this was an opportunity to maybe start killing off some of those cruisers, but alas, it is not meant to be. We've now got cruiser fire coming in on the base, and I think that is going to be all she wrote, waiting on the collapse of Orangeheart. Where is his commander? It is up here on the top right, dangerously close to a group of interceptors. Regen Aura is complete. I don't really have a good way to test whether or not that's working unless he walks closer to some damaged units. ACU moving across the field of view of Ajax units down here. He does have it on radar, but he does not know exactly what it is. And with the ACU so far forward, it almost looks like two individual air units. But there's the nuke. Orange Heart sacrificing his ACU for air superiority. Oh, wait. That only works in team games. And Ajax takes the win. Well played on his part. That game was an exercise in excellence on the part of Ajax, just performing slightly better consistently through the entire course of the game. Orange Heart did not do badly, don't read me wrong here. He kept up as best he could, but that little creeping bit of lead that leads to a further lead and a further lead, and being able to move to T2 cruisers makes a huge difference in the course of the game. Ajax, I think the single biggest factor was him going for this many frigates, even though that threatened him losing some of his outside expansions due to him not having quite as much actual unit potential on land. But locking out that navy led to the victory, with all of this raiding being so incredibly successful once he controlled the water. Alrighty guys, that is going to wrap it up for this game. Let me move out and check out the rest, and we'll get on with another cast. That is going to wrap everything up for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, feel free to drop a like and share it with someone. If you want to support the channel, catch the streams, or join the Discord, check out the links in the description. Thank you all for being at least partially insane, and I will see you in the next one.